Fernando Mendoza intentionally taking a safety. A lot of people bet Indiana minus 6.5, and Indiana ended up winning by 5 after the intentional safety. So before it was Indiana by 7. Indiana leading 2013. Mendoza takes the safety. People are saying, oh, investigate Fernando Mendoza for gambling. Check his FanDuel account. Well, Fernando Mendoza said after the game, he said, I probably shouldn't be saying this, but I probably cooked a lot of people's spreads with that. And he said he didn't care. Why would he care? This is the problem with letting people wager on sports from their phones. And I know you're saying, well, why did Mendoza run through the end zone? There was so much confusion in that end-of-game sequence. First of all, Kirk Ferentz using all 3 timeouts when the game was over was Bush League. Second of all, the referees, this is another example of how they completely lost control of the game. Because Mendoza never went down, but they kept blowing the whistle as he was trying to bleed clock. And sure, you could argue that Mendoza could just drop back, maybe roll out and chuck the ball into the air and make sure you get it out of bounds. But there's always a chance that that ball maybe hangs up in the air, stays in bounds, gets intercepted, and gets taken back to the house. Mendoza could have fallen down short of the end zone, but Kurt Cignetti said, first of all, that he needs more clarification on how Indiana was officiated in that end-of-game sequence where Mendoza was trying to bleed the clock and was not kneeling, but the play kept getting blown dead. He needs clarification on how the Big Ten handled that, officiating-wise. But on that final play where Mendoza ended up taking the safety, he was not supposed to get stopped in the end zone. He was supposed to run through the back of the end zone, but he got caught. And you got people upset because Indiana sold their parlay. Oh, boo-hoo. Give me a break. Give me a break. Mendoza, honestly, good on him. I was in the presser yesterday, and he said he didn't care about cooking people's spreads. Good. Sports betting is a cancer on society as it exists right now. It's one thing to visit a sports book in Las Vegas and place a wager in person, but I am of the belief that you should not be able to bet on sports from your phone. You shouldn't. I know it's not legal in all 50 states. It's legal in Indiana. I personally do not participate because, like I said, I think it is a cancer on society, and I think it preys on people's emotions. And it's very effective at that, but that's not a good thing. You know Fernando Mendoza is going to get harassment from people. It happens all the time. People think they're invincible. An athlete doesn't do what they bet on them to do, which Brent Rooker, Las Vegas Athletics, soon to be Sacramento, Vegas, whatever. Oakland Athletics outfielder Brent Rooker got an Instagram DM because he sold somebody's parlay one time. And Rooker's response was echoed, that kind of sentiment was echoed by Fernando Mendoza yesterday. Rooker responded to the fan and said, "My brother, I cannot even begin to stress how little I care." Good. That's the attitude that every player should have. Mendoza has been very adamant, as every quarterback should be. He's going to do whatever it takes to help his team win. If that means intentionally taking a safety to run out the clock, then fine. He was doing what he was told to by Kurt Cignetti. And Kurt Cignetti is making $8 million a year. I don't think Cignetti needs to encourage or endorse or participate in point shaving. And yes, that's what people were accusing not only Cignetti, but Fernando Mendoza of doing. Because, oh, boo-hoo, you lost your parlay. I don't care, okay? There are so many kids under the age of 21 at IU who are addicted to gambling. So many. It is an epidemic. I am of the belief that Fernando Mendoza did nothing wrong. He won a football game. The guy is the ultimate team player. He's a winner, man. If you're an Indiana fan, you better be glad to have Fernando Mendoza on your team. Because, man, that guy is going to be playing on Sundays. He didn't have the most eye-popping numbers yesterday. But Mendoza did what he needed to do to win the game when it mattered most. And yes, that included taking a safety because the referees lost control of the game. That was a designed play by Kurt Cignetti. It was not officiated the way he expected. But if you're going to cry because, oh, I had Indiana minus 6.5 and Fernando Mendoza trying to win the game meant that Indiana didn't win by 7 or more points, cry me a river. And maybe call the number 1-800-GAMBLER, or in Indiana, I think it's 1-800-9-WITH-IT. It's stupid. Sports betting is stupid, in my opinion. You are welcome to disagree. But again, I have seen so many kids at IU who are not of legal age to bet on sports, and they're addicted to it. One of my teammates on the bowling team a couple years ago, who was not 21 at the time, was $500 in the hole. Sports betting. That's a problem. That is a problem. And unfortunately, Indiana's going to be caught in the crosshairs now because people think the world revolves around them.